All right, we're about 2 minutes away from the market open, and we'll just take another one. It's like Idera Pharmaceuticals. Idera. See what news we got from them. There it is. 41% close after to close in a Form 4 filing. The company's okay purchased. All right. So we have some insider buying with IDRA. Always a good thing. That talks about confidence within the company when you see that insider buying. So we have a lot of price action coming out of that. And let's see what the performance looks like. All right. This could easily settle back for us a little bit throughout the trading day today. It's definitely not one that I track or one that I know very much about. We'll watch to see how that plays out. I'm really interested to see how AMC opens today. There we go. So looking at the candles, we had a pretty decent sell-off and then followed by an engulfing candle following it on the 30-minute chart that we're looking at here. So if we went up to the hourly, this would be a very narrow range candle. So let's go to the hourly. There we go. There's your narrow range that you got on the hourly, and then we another double bottom resist there right at 52. So if we stay above 52 today, remember there is a significant amount of volatility. We actually have fairly good support right around that $52 mark. So I think it's important that we stay above 52, and you can see some of the lines that I already have drawn on here, and that they are starting to converge. They're starting to squeeze together, and that could cause a breakout to happen. We could finally see some short positions being covered, that the wiggle room for people, large institutions holding those short positions could really have to start to cover. So as long as the holders hold and the buyers keep on buying, we could, that's what it's going to take in order for that price action to occur. So the market opened. Let's go down to a lower time frame, see what kind of battle's being fought. All right, so we have our 50-period simple moving average, and we tagged that at the high right at 57.65, and we'll see if we break that, see if it acts as a line of resistance for us. Trading volume wise, 2 million shares traded. Let's compare that with some of the other trading volumes that we've had. There we go, 3 million shares traded over there. So not bad opening volume for AMC. There we broke it. So there's that resistance gone. See if we break this little linear pattern we have across these tops that we have here, pushing forward to kind of breaking that previous high that we had of 58.73 will also be good for us. And the pre-market is so hard to see. If we take a look at the level 2, there's significant buying pressure. Ooh, and there's the selling pressure coming in. Looks like it's trying to stop us out right at about $58. So we'll see as that battle goes back and forth where it's going to lead us next. And this is just ripping. There we have a support wall coming in right around 56.50 or so. Where does that put us at on here? Looks like it puts us, okay, $57 is about where that's hitting now. That makes a little bit more sense. That's right around the bottom of these candles that we see, that $57 mark. We're finding a lot of buy-side support. And the resistance, it looks like the selling pressure here, where the shares just keep on dumping. As soon as this builds up, it gets melted away, and then the sell-side pressure takes over. This is going to be a fairly large battle probably going on for AMC throughout the days. TSLA moving. Okay, I'll check out TSLA in just a moment here. There we go. I remember the one time I went to type in TSLA and it said I meant to check out Tesla. Then there's hang on one second here. There's one that has one close to Tesla. Hang on. There we go. There we go. There's one that's close to Tesla, but it's not. It's like TLSA or something like that. And I typed in the letters wrong. And ooh, look at that. That's nice. Thank you, Taco. And I remember seeing the share price being just a couple of bucks instead of being a couple of $100. And I was like, what in the world happened? Like, I thought that there was some huge crash in Tesla's price, and here I just typed in the wrong ticker. I think it's TLSA. And I'm not going to look at that right now, but it was just it was a shocking moment because I thought some really bad news happened for Tesla. But it looks like we actually have some really good strength, seeing us up close to that 640 mark. Look at that huge price wall that we have in level 2, right around 639. Decent sell side pressure trying to push us back down, and we'll see if the orders can fill in order to cover that. You know, look at all that red, all those different sell orders going through. There we go. Where's it happening? Right around 642 or so. What's the news on this one that's giving us this nice green candle that we have? Oh, yeah. Model 3 top in the American-made car list. I read about that earlier this morning. Excellent. All right, it's the first EV to take that top spot. That's what it was saying. So that's pretty awesome, especially with the move from Biden for bringing business back to America and having more things made in the United States. So that's just incredible. Let's look at the daily chart. I just want to see how these prices compare. We should have, there we go. Let's zoom in so we can see a little bit more price action. All right, so we still have a positive slope 200 period moving average and negative slope 50 period. And so the whole death cross thing would be something that would come to mind. If we had both negative slopes, that could be bad for us for a turning point. Instead, what I see is that we have these lower highs, and then we're getting higher lows. This one didn't drop quite as far as it could have. We could be in pretty good shape for Tesla. Let's zoom in. Looks like we have the 50 period acting as our resistance right now at about $640. So that could explain why we're seeing it top out about where it is, or why we keep on seeing that that sell side pressure, that price wall come in right around 640. But yeah, that's a decent jump that we have. So rocking between 2 and 3%, getting closer to 3%. This thing could break to the upside once we get some more exciting news coming off of Tesla. I really think that a lot of the negativity that surrounded it between the sell-offs and EVs and high growth and anything high multiple for a while, that beat it up. And then we had a lot of FUD coming out of China for the brakes, and then I believe it was the Texas crash. And then, we had some drama with Elon Musk and some of the cryptocurrency stuff, and that's highly tied to what happens with Tesla here. But their deliveries, I think that they're at 70% market share for EVs in the United States, down from like 78%. That competition is going to continue to increase. But what we want to know is that growth rate of EVs is outpacing their drop in market share. And the EVs are supposed to continue their market penetration, taking over ICE vehicles over the next 5 years to decade, and even could be even longer, that into the next 15 years as we see that battle take place over greener and cleaner energies. Lee long term. All right, I'll get to that. Oh, all right, Tesla, check it out. We made it up to 643. Let's go back to the intraday. There we go. All right, still a rather fairly strong start for Tesla. I think that this finally puts me back in the green for Tesla. I was holding the bag there for a little while. My dollar cost average somewhere, I think around like 646 or so. So maybe I'm still just a little bit red, almost even on this one. But I should most definitely come back. Volume right now, this is over a half-hour time span. We're only 7 minutes in. We're getting close to these other opening volumes that we had. So excellent for Tesla. There's Li Auto, and some of the price action that we could be seeing today could come from with Xpeng. What we saw is that they're going to IPO on the Hong Kong stock exchange, and they debuted last year, I believe Xpeng did, on the New York Stock Exchange. So Trying to think about what I was reading about it. I think the dual listing status, I don't think it happens until they have at least 2 years in. I'm gonna have to fact check that one. I only skimmed through it briefly because I was looking at some other things. I mentioned yesterday in the Discord about considering XPeng for a possible swing trade, being that it was down about 8%, just on some news about drama about trade tensions between the United States and China, and that caused a sell-off with the Chinese EVs like we have here with Li, XPeng, and NIO. And NIO is by far my favorite. XPeng is a close second, and then Li trails just a little bit as a third, but I still think that they're going to have. I think that they're going to be the most volatile because they're the smallest out of the three of them. But I think that they're still that they have their place in China. So if we look at the analyst estimates on it, looks like we still have 20% upside to get to the average, and that that doubling right there over the next 12 months. I don't know if we see that. I just want to take a peek at the level 2 here. Price wall right around $30, and lots of sell side pressure that we have. So maybe trying to take back some of that price action that we saw early on, and we'll see if the orders come in, the buy orders come in order to match that. So for Li, bullish on Li, let's look at the daily chart and see what sort of resistances we have to overcome if this is going to make it to the upside. There we go. Wow. All right. So we've almost, what was this low point here? May 11th, makes a lot of sense. Low value, 15.98. So we're like just under $2 away from 2xing on this. And something that's a little bit nice that's shaping up is that we're starting to get another battle going on between the bulls and the bears. So this price, if you bought in low when it bottomed out in just before the middle of May, you could be up to almost double your money on this one. So this one's going to react a little bit more to the upside sometimes than what we might see with XPeng and NIO, but it's also going to react more to the downside as well. And right now we're pretty solid. All right, so back to resistance here. Looks like we just finally got the start of a 200-day, and we're above it, so that's a good thing. And then we have the 50-period simple moving average here, also trading above that, both positively sloped. There we go. All right, so if I drop that right around the top, so we don't have too far to go to our first resistance, which is around where the top of this is, which is also around where what we have for these this little sideways trading area that we see right around the $30.33. So that could be a little bit of resistance for us up to. There we go. High price 31.23. So we might have another dollar to go before we bump up against resistance. As long as we don't see the price get pushed down too far, we could still have that narrowing happening before it leads us to a breakout in either direction. And it just takes the right catalyst in order for that to happen. Ooh, LKCO is doing nicely. Who else we got? PLTR on the move. Nice. Tesla taking off 650 soon. Nice. Good morning, Marshall. Hey, no problem, man. There we go. I'm starting to smooth out the technical side of things over here. I have an order coming tomorrow that should allow me to finally, and I know I said this several times, but you know, I'm kind of narrowing down on the issues that have happened with getting my microphone set up. Right now I'm using my built-in microphone on my laptop. I have a much better microphone that I use in my recorded videos, but the technologies that I use a little bit different when I do a recording versus when I do a live stream. And I have a USB coming that splits off the audio in with the audio out. And then once I have that, I should finally be able to get my microphone to work with my MacBook. I'm used to having desktops that have sound cards in them that already have separate microphone channels. This doesn't. It only has one headphone jack. So I actually bought a USB piece, USB-C, that allows me to do that. So fingers crossed that I got it right this time. All right, so PLTR up over 25, excellent. A slow, steady upward climb. I'm totally okay if Palantir keeps this sort of march going. That would be absolutely excellent to watch it happen, because I think that this is one of those build over time kind of plays. that I don't think that we should see a very sudden, unless they got some huge contract order that solidified their future. Instead, I think that the key that we're going to find with Palantir is the small business adoption and really optimizing what we see happening. Not that the big contracts aren't important, but I think it's the support of the small contracts and being sticky to Palantir, a lot like the government contracts are, that are really going to cause victories in these share prices over time, enough to keep our momentum rolling and our price moving forward. And as long as they're careful with their options that they put out to their employees, being careful of share dilution and treating their stockholders well, that kind of stuff's important when it comes to the sort of price action that we see. I think a lot about, I know I've mentioned them before, but NNDM I think would be doing much better right now if it wasn't for so many capital raises and share dilution that we saw going through them. If they're not careful, if they do too much of that and keep on alienating their shareholders, that's just bad news for the company. Even though I absolutely love their technology, I'm still bullish, and I'm a current holder of NNDM. That's stuff that I don't like to see. I've actually sold my position a number of times with NNDM once I caught on to the fact that as soon as the stock price starts to go rich, that they'll do another capital raise, they'll get that money, and the price will drop. So I've done that several times, but this last time that they did, I actually just held through my position because they weren't up an incredibly high amount, but I still expected that they were going to do another share dilution sometime soon. And it didn't have the same price drop as others did because I think it was expected by a lot more traders. And I think that's one thing that's holding their price down a little bit from where it's at. All right, so let me get a line going here. All right, so for a horizontal line, 21.19 actually seems to be, we'll say about there for what we're looking at. And then if I had another one to draw, we're actually right about at that horizontal line now. There we go. So let's see where I have that. Looks like around like $26 or so could be where we're bumping up against resistance for Palantir. Breaking over that line would be a good thing. I'm going to check the market bias in a moment. Technologies, stock sinks and market gains. That was 15 hours ago. That doesn't help. Out of Benzinga, why Palantir stock looks set to fly higher. I absolutely think that it's going to fly higher. I'm going to have to read that one and see if they have any insights for us. Let's see what else we got. Another horizontal line. Right, maybe about there-ish, right around that 27.59 mark. There we go. And then we could watch those horizontal lines play out. There's actually another one, looks like across these peaks that we have at around $24. And again, that would help explain some of what we see. Sometimes it's nice just to have the visual on there. There you go. And I don't want to get too many lines because it starts to get too distracting. And I can always delete them off if I feel like it's too full or taking away from anything that I'm trying to talk about at the time. There we go. Turn off my moving average for the moment. All right, let's go back intraday. All right, I'll go back to AMC. I think we open with them. All right, hey, Palantir, we actually tagged 26. Give me a moment here. Let me see if it allows me to drag this drawing down a little bit. We'll actually set it right at that round number resistance, right at $26, because that could actually be a little bit closer to what we could see. Let's go down a little bit further. All right, we'll check out AMC because it's been a while, and then we'll go back and we'll check out Tesla. All right, so, oh, nice. So we actually have like a little bit of almost a flag formation going that if this thing holds right around like 25.73, there it didn't. It's like, you're going to talk about holding. I guess I'll drop down. This could actually trend downwards a little bit. And as long as we don't break like 50% retracement on this, come on, don't get too deep there. We could actually see it bound back up again. And looks like we actually have in the level 2s, lots of sell side pressure. what does that say? 25.68 or so, 25.67. Building up some buy side pressure here. So the bull's coming back in to save that. We don't, this candle, we don't want it to come any deeper here. We actually want it to hold off, because if it starts to engulf this candle that came before it, that can put us into a little bit of trouble. I'm not that I'm a short-term player on Palantir. It's another one of my holdings, and it's one of my favorite companies. And I think that they have a lot of promise ahead of them. Again, we want them to treat the shareholders well. All right, let's see what AMC's got for us. Pushing on 60. Come on, AMC. It actually went up above it. We have a little wick of a candle up here, actually a fairly long wick for a candle, 61.10 before coming back down. You can see my trend line that I had drawn stopped just shy of this. So putting us right about the middle of these two candles. Breaking $60 is going to be important for us today. If we break 60, we have a chance to, and actually hold on to it. Like, we want the body of a candle to actually close above it. If it's a red candle, that close, if it's at or above 60, or if it's a green candle, we want it to open at or above 60 and then close, higher than 60. Of course, the green candle. That could be important for us for staying above 60, but it's definitely still a battle being fought here. Let's go up to a slightly higher time frame just to consolidate some of these candles. There we go. So this can take away a little bit of that. So that long wick that we see there, we don't know how much price action will go along with that. We could see a little bit of it from the 5-minute chart. It's nice that the volume is actually hanging on. And if you look at the volume from the previous day, the first, what are we at? The 10-minute chart. So the first 20 minutes of the market, still holding on strong. We'll see if the next 30-minute, if it's going to cut down in volume a lot like what we saw before, or if this price action here is going to keep on pumping that volume. We're now in the third 10-minute block of the market open. And so we'll see where that candle treats us. Let's check out Tesla. All right, 647. So, hey, from the look at this, we might just push on to 650. Let's go out to our daily chart and see. I know we talked a little bit about support and resistance here. Relatively large body candle that we have here. Nothing like what we saw over here when there was a lot of overselling. But still pretty good. A little bit of a gap up above the previous day. Resistance at around 630 or so. From what we had before is now probably acting as support for us today. So that's an excellent thing. It looks like we have room up to, I'd call 650 a psychological resistance that we would have. And then we actually have a decent amount of room from there looking at just the daily chart. It looks like 700 would be about our next stopping point that we would have. So if we break 650, then we have room, according to the daily chart here, maybe up a little bit higher than that, maybe 675. There we go. Let's put our moving averages back on there. Excellent. And there's the duck head, as my daughter would call it. Looks like a duck, she says. What's it got? Nouveau Monde, long term. That sounds like French. There you go. For New World, maybe? Oh, wow. Okay. So we have a gap downward, and let me see. Where does that put us price action-wise? We actually have a gap to fill, and typically that's something that we could see happen. So if that gap does fill, we have room to fill up to wherever the bottom of this candle is. The low price, $9 per share, and we're currently sitting at $8.13, so 87 cents. So that's a little bit over 10% upside if we're actually going to go through and fill that. I don't know anything about this company. Let me see what the news is. Partnership with Caterpillar, good. For zero emissions vehicles mining. Basic materials. Canadian-based mining exploration company, special exploration. Okay. Yeah, the partnership with Caterpillar is good because a lot of times when you see that you talk about mining exploration, um, there's always that question, do they actually go out and do they actually mine it, and are they actually looking for things? Because there's a lot of companies that could come out and plan to mine. But the partnership with Caterpillar would speak to, especially in Canada, a lot of pump and dump stuff comes out of Canada, so that's something to be aware of. But the partnership ugh, I can't talk. Caterpillar would speak to their legitimacy, that they would actually be um, able to prove themselves a little bit more as a legitimate company, and they might already. Like I said, I don't know anything. I'm just going off of what I read quickly, and let's look. Where was this? Back in September of 2020, trading at about, wow, $1.33 was the low on that chart right there, going up to wow, $21 per share. That's a lot of price action. We see a lot of volume here, so a lot of strength back on 618. So today is the 23rd. 5 days ago would be the 18th. So okay, so they did public offering, they did capital raise. There you go. Price offering $7.50 per share. So that would explain a lot that we see in the price drop here, that they priced it at $7.50 per share. And that's why this one is right around that 750, and that's why we see that price drop. So we got share dilution, follow them giving their own price for their own stock at about $7.50. And along with that overselling, you get a little bit of recovery. Like I said, oftentimes you will get that filling of the gap back up to wherever that low was. So as long as you still have that bullish momentum going for this, you have about 10% ahead of you on the short term. Long term, look at the analyst estimates. I don't know when they were updated last, but 73 cents, and we're currently over 10 times what that happens to say. So closer to 11 times what the one analyst that's covering this has to say. So at least in the short term, 10%. Long term, maybe this price that was around the high of all these high growth companies, and this is likely one of those, getting back there where we haven't seen that same sort of recovery. Maybe we could, at least in the shorter term, see this thing come back to that $15 per share or so. Really, we have actually a nice linear progression of these lows right here before things started falling off, right up to about the 15th at about 1072. So if we resume that line, maybe like $11, if they come back to follow the same path that they were following before. And NDM. Oh, it's been a while since I checked the news on NDM. It looks like they're bumping right up against resistance. Look at that level top that we have. Let's actually zoom in to see just how evenly we hit resistance there. So high price 841 for this one, 841. This one 842. I mean, that's pretty clear resistance that we have right at that 841, 842. So we're like 4 to 5 cents away from its current trading price of 837. And we see here, so if you were going to buy NNDM right now, you'd be buying right into resistance. So if it was a short-term play, like if you were going to do a swing trade on this, or if you're going to do an intraday trade on this, my guess would be that your next trade that you would make would be short based on that resistance that's there, unless you had some sort of known catalyst that was going to cause you to break up above it. So something that people do is they'll actually, if they do want to go long in a position like this one, they'll set their buy price up above that resistance, and like significantly above that resistance. There we go. Look what that top of that candle is, right at 841, 835. Let's go down to the 5-minute chart. I mean, honestly, we have a nice upward squeeze going on the 5-minute chart. We could definitely break resistance today. Let's see if we have news that would act as a catalyst. Unusual options activities. All right, options can have a huge influence on the price. So it is possible that we do happen to see that. So we have higher highs, higher lows going. So this nice little flag formation that we have to the upside, it could break further to the upside. Good morning, Jerry. ENTX. Era. Wow, look at that. That's cool. So it doubled in price from what we had yesterday. Let me look at the daily just for a moment, then I'll come back to intraday. That is a gap up. Woo! My goodness. The only time that we traded higher was back here on March the 12th, and we didn't even close. Our closing price on March the 12th was $6.90, and this opened up above that. Let's look at the open today. The open today was at $7.07. So let's see what they do. Healthcare pharmaceuticals makes total sense. Israel-based product-focused biotech company specializes in oral delivery of large molecules and biologics. Clinical trials, proprietary technology. Enhancing absorption, good. That's one thing. I'm not, the doctor stock is a title, and the doctorate that I'm working on is an academic doctorate for, there we go. It's an educational doctorate. Mathematics is my background, and my focus is on educational technology. And my research is in self-regulation, which actually has a lot to do with the emotions of trading and stuff. But anyway, moving on from that, it's not a medical doctor by any means. But one of the big things about medicines that are given orally is that sometimes we don't. There's trouble with how much actually makes it into the bloodstream when you take a medication orally versus having it like injected intravenously. So in order to work on that and to get higher absorption rates, especially for large molecules, I mean, that could be some really important work. Let's take a look at the news. There you go. 1 hour ago, announces excellent top line phase 2 BMD. All right, so they're in phase 2. I'm guessing it's through FDA approval. So even though today, right now, it's saying that it's over 83% up. So if I was going to go any direction on this, honestly, and again, these are all opinions, not a financial advisor, but when I look at a stock like this, and when you look at what happens with pharmaceutical stocks and biopharma, whenever you look at biotech, whatever it might happen to be, they do rip up and then they settle back down. So people buy in here and then they wait for it to come back up, and it just doesn't. But then this phase 2 news comes in and whoop, right back up again. And if you haven't seen the movie, I think it's called Abominable. There's whooping snakes whoop, that keep popping up, making that noise. My family essentially watch do that all the time. But anyway, this will rip up, and then I wouldn't be surprised to watch it come back down. And let me see. I just want to see. So if this is a stock that would be able to be shorted, that it wouldn't be a hard to short stock, this would be one that I would sooner take a short position based on its current price action, not one to squish the company, because I don't do that. I would just take advantage of occurrences and price actions, and anything I do would be small enough it's not going to really have a huge impact on the market in the first place. But with biopharma, a lot that happens is that they do tend to drop back down, especially because this is phase 2. It's not FDA approval. It's still in the clinical stages. That could be something that, it's really exciting right now. It's like, yes, this company fundamentally could be awesome, but it's still could be. It's still sometime down the road. It's still pending on approval that they get. And this price action will likely settle. So if you bought into it, excellent, especially if you bought in, down here or even back here when it was only $1 and you're up lots of percentages. Sometimes, and I don't often do biopharma stocks, but sometimes what I'll do is if I know that there's an FDA action coming up, or if there's some clinical data that's going to be reported sometime in the near future, if that's anticipated and I was in it early and I see a skyrocket like this where it goes, almost 2x, or even does happen to go 2x right now, it's at about 80% from yesterday's close, I will take that profit. And if I'm bullish on the company overall, I will wait for it to settle and I will buy back in. Some people think about FOMO, what happens if it does go higher and I sold at the wrong time? Well, something that you can do, something that's an option. Wow, and now it's pushing on to almost 90%, by the way. Let's look intraday for a little bit more of that action. Maybe go down to the 5-minute chart. There we go. So 866 we hit. There we are on a 5-minute. We're starting to wipe out all these previous candles, taking us back down to this high that we had here, 750. So this could be a little bit of a shakeout. It could be a little bit of a rest before it carries onward. But I was talking about FOMO. So if you, like, here's something that I did with BNGO. So I bought them when they were around like $2 a share or so, and they doubled in like a day or 2 days after I bought it. And I sold half my position, and I did that because I thought that it could keep running. But it was also a company that I really liked a lot, but I just felt like it was too much of a run up too fast, and that it was going to come back down, causing other buying opportunities. And I remember being laughed at, and I got a lot of shade thrown at me in the comments. I said, guys, this could go up to $6 to $8 in the near term, and then ended up going to like $7 or $7.50. And it's not that I'm right all the time, but it was one that I saw a lot of potential for. I saw a lot of momentum. So when it did go back up, I think at about $7, I sold a quarter of my position. So now I'm down to just 25% of my original position, and there was absolutely no risk left over. But I still held on to some of my shares, and what that did was it allowed me to feel, because emotions are huge when it comes to the stock market. And my work in self-regulation is funny because as a math teacher, when I first started, when I was green, I would tell the students, I'm like, this is math, emotions have nothing to do with it. And then, to my chagrin, I realized years later, as a father and just being humbled by the world, will say, emotions, they actually have everything to do with it, whether we want to be in denial of it or not. I mean, it all starts with motivation. Every one of our actions starts with motivation. So really, how do we regulate the ones that we act on and don't act on? And knowing that emotional side of me, to watch it only go higher after I exited my position by keeping some shares around, that was enough for me to be like, hey, if this goes higher, I'm still in and I can still capitalize on it. And so those are some of the options you have. If you were in this early and you're like, what should I do? What should I do? Well, you can hang on if you think it's going to go higher. If we play this off of what a lot of biopharma stocks do, they come right back down, or they come a lot of the way back down. So you could always take some of your profit. Or if you're wondering, should you buy now? A lot of these come right back down. So buying now would be buying at the peak or at the hype of it. And, that could definitely be some come back down. By the way, look at the pretty much even buy and sell side pressures that we have on this. This thing's going to be battle tested to try and hold that bottom line that we have. Thank you, Jerry, for bringing that up. I hope I gave you some insight into its price action. Thank you, Marshall. I appreciate it. Luis, good morning. What do you think about Romeo Power? See what it's doing today. Energy's had a good run of it the past 2 days. I was looking at the performance of the different sectors, and I think it was Monday, or maybe it was Friday. Friday may have been the underperforming sector day, and I think energy was at the bottom of it. And the last 2 trading days, it was Friday that it underperformed all the other sectors. And then the last 2 days, it was either at the top or it was near the top for performance across all the sectors. So it sort of had that recovery to it. So what are the volumes like on Romeo? 110,000. Let's look at the daily chart. All right, so just refreshing my memory here. So SPAC deal, we're trading at about one of the lowest prices that we have. There we go. One of the areas of support that we have on this looks like it's around like $8.20, and it's currently trading at like $8.63. And you can see, I remember commenting on this before. Look at this flattening out along that 50-period simple moving average. Who was this who asked about it? It was Luis. So Luis, what we're looking for in this one, you can see this cross that we had between this top line, the blue line here, and the orange line that seems to be sitting somewhat flat. It's actually a little bit negatively sloped. What we want to see is that this bottom line to start turning back upwards towards the top line. And when that happens, that's called a golden cross, and that can be a sign of a bullish reversal from its current trend. So that's definitely something you want to watch. I drew this blue line here that we've broken out of this pattern of the consistent lows. So we could already start seeing that reversal. And the fact that we haven't returned back to this low of $6.33, we're currently, oh my goodness. There we go. So something that I'm working on for this channel, and really the support that I see coming from YouTube and Patreon and stuff really goes into improving the offerings that I have. And one of those things would definitely be the better tech. My laptop does a great job with a lot of things, but with live streaming takes a lot of juice, and my 16 gigs of RAM, which still sounds weird in my ears because I've been into computers for a long time, and I still remember Bill Gates saying 256 kilobytes of RAM would be all that we would ever need. And so to talk about 16 gigs not being enough is just astounding. So right around like $8.40 per share, maybe down to $8.30, should be some support for us. And as long as that support holds, we're good. If it doesn't hold, we can drop back down, way down to about $7 per share, which might be a decent psychological resist for us. I'm sorry, support for us. The resistance up here at 1285, like I said, we want to see this thing turn back around. So it still has that possibility. As of right now, this narrow range doji that we have forming up today could be a good sign for us that we could start marching back up the other way. Our volume is starting to taper off a little bit, so we could be in like a little bit of a tiny still distribution / accumulation phase moving for this before we get the next ramp up in price. That's if we get bullish action taking place. Our analyst estimates, we have 5 people covering it, and one of which says underperform, one of which says strong buy, and the 3 in the middle call it a buy. Fair amount of upside too on it. So a lot of sell side pressure taking place. We'll see if the bulls can keep that propped up for us. All right, Marshall. Good luck to you, my friend. I don't say that because I doubt the company. I don't know anything about the company other than what we talked about. But I say good luck just because, you know, I wish I wish the best for everybody in this. And if you get those victories, and if I had any, yeah, I just want you guys to do well financially. But if you do experience those victories, and some of that came because I offered some sort of insight into the company, just send me a thank you. And you know, that's totally enough for me. Just to know that I helped and what I did mattered. So intraday Romeo Power, we are sort of barcoding a little bit if you subtract out these little tiny wicks that we saw. So something like this right here, this wick popping down. I can't tell you how many times that I've traded near the market open that I did an intraday trade, and I got tagged out by something like this. That I see that we're sort of holding support right here on this 200 period simple moving average that I have up right now. And you can sort of see it playing out as support, and then something like this, because what I'll do is I'll set my my sell stop right around like $8.60, for instance, on something like this, and then it just quickly shakes me out of the trade, and then, you know, I lose out for the day, and you know, my risk to reward, the risk got me that time. Definitely something that can happen. All right, what else we got? SPCE fundamental play. So Virgin Galactic. All right. Well, not a bad looking shape on the 30-minute chart that we have right now. We really, if we wanted to see another jump like this, we want this to be a little bit narrower, but we'll see as it plays out. Let's go down a little bit further, down to 5 minutes. It actually started putting up a pennant formation that or even a flag formation, depending on how you want to read it. That should have sent us a little bit higher, but and failed to do that. Instead, it broke to the downside, and it looks like we're finding a little bit of support. This candle's still shaping up, by the way, and we have a few minutes yet for that to really shape up. We'll see where it closes, but right around like 49.50, we got a decent amount of buy side pressure right now, and so that should prop up the price moving forward. And depending on the market bias, this could have a decent day. Let me click on markets real quick, see what we got. And I'll expand this for everybody. NASDAQ, decent. Dow dipped to start off early, but moving back up. And then S&P doing a little bit of a slower climb. Okay, excellent. Well, it's good for NASDAQ because where tech stocks are related, NASDAQ's the one that you want to look at. As far as support on Virgin Galactic, we're sitting right around there, right around like 38 or 30. Oh, I'm sorry, like almost $39 or so is where we have that double bottom on the 5-minute chart. And where did it take us up to? 41.65 is where we topped out on this thing. Go up to a higher time frame. See how we look. Yeah, so 30-minute chart, you can see a little bit more of a double top resist right around 41.34. There we go. Bring my axis back in there. All right. Well, we've had a great run of it so far with Virgin Galactic, and we actually have this 50-period simple moving average starting to come back up and cross. Definitely have that bullish momentum. We broke it up over these this double top that we have here, right around $36 per share. Haven't gotten back to that 62 that we saw before. Where are the analyst estimates putting us on this one? Okay, so it's trading a little bit rich. We have, let me see, from where we're at now, 25% to that high analyst estimate that we have. So it's trading a little rich. So short term anyway, I see this likely coming back down. And that doesn't mean anything long term. But I do think that we have a lot of positive price action that might be pricing a little bit more than what a lot of the fundamentals have to say. So this trajectory, I'd like to see it just a little bit slower for growth. And now I do think that we were oversold by a lot when it bottomed here at, let me see, where's the low? $14.27. Okay, it's right there. So maybe the more corrected price coming back in around 23 before starting that climb. And so maybe if we go somewhere in the middle of that, like $30 per share in the short term. However, resistance can also serve as support. So this could come back down to around that 36 in the short term. So a 10% drop, or, I mean, we could continue on with it. I think I day traded this one a while back, quite a few shares of it. And it's always funny because I remember I day traded either 300 or 600 shares of NEO when it was like $5 per share. And when I watched it go up over 60, you know, it's hard to think about doing a small day trade versus buying that and then holding on to it for a longer term. That's just not what I was there to do it for. I wasn't looking at the fundamentals of NEO at the time. That wouldn't be until like September that I actually started seriously looking into NEO as they started picking up more momentum and viewing them more as a serious car company. All right, I just wanted to check out the news. So Virgin Galactic Holdings stock outperforms competitors on a strong trading day. Excellent. Okay. Options trading. So we could see momentum come through with the options that we're looking to take care of. Or this could be controlling some of the price action that we currently see. Volatility, other stocks quiet. SPAC rumors. Okay. I'll go back and check out NNDM. Hey, there we go. We finally broke out over that first line of resistance that we had. What was it, 841 or 842? And so we're about, there we go. So 20 cents up above that. So what would that be? A couple percentage over that. Not too bad. Up over 6.5, almost 7% for the day. $878. I'm just checking out some of the other things we can see on the daily. Let's go intraday. Yeah, if they can get into their production phase, there we go. We broke to the upside. If they can get to their production phase where they're actually mass producing parts, look how beautifully that flag formation played out, by the way, that we broke out. And something to look at when you see a flag formation shaping up, from the bottom of the flagpole to the top of the flagpole is about the same amount that you can expect for upside. So that can help with your buy and sell prices that you have for this. So what you would do is you could have maybe about here or so, 843 would be where you would put maybe your buy price, maybe a little bit above that, so you don't get into a false pattern where it doesn't really break out the way that you expect it to. And then let me see what the height of this is, 802 up to 828. So you would go from like 843, so that'd be about 20 cents. So then 862. Wow, yeah, almost perfectly. Like this is textbook technical play that we're looking at for this one, and it looks like maybe we could see a pennant formation shape out from that yet. But remember that bulls get tired, so just because it happened once, it doesn't mean it's going to happen again. It actually makes it a little bit less likely every time that we see in short order something like that play out. The overall market could definitely affect that. Emerging news could definitely be something that affects that. We just need to be careful. In level 2, looks like around 876 to 880 or so is where we get a lot of sell side pressure. So that could keep us down there. And it looks like we have a little bit of wane. This changes all the time. Buy side pressure, it looks like actually we have a fair amount of orders still coming in, trying to catch on to some of that momentum for NNDM. And I don't see specific news right now leading up to it, at least not through here. Sometimes what you can find, look at that, trying to break out again to the upside. 874 is what we peaked at. Sometimes Twitter is good because you have people that strictly follow a company like NNDM and like their YOLO, like all money in one place, trying to change their lives on that one stock. And so they'll follow that company, and because they're so intent on it, they'll actually ferret out that company's specific news a lot faster than somebody like me would, who does a broader coverage. We'll go to Twitter and we'll see if we see anything that piques our interest. We'll let that give it a second to load in the background there. I don't want to waste your time with loading. Yeah, the market is bullish today. It's nice. CCIV, they were up a little bit in the pre-market. I think between $23 and $24 a share. Oh, nice. Yeah, they're having a great day so far. So they sold off. Look at that. I guarantee you people got shook out of their trades with that little move right there, that people were catching this sort of reversal that we had coming out of the market open, where we had just a little bit of profit taking. People with their stops probably somewhere just below these bottoms that they had, or this bottom that was over here. And so people set a stop somewhere around like 23.40, and then just go bloop, pop them out of their trades, and then the price ends up ripping back up. This is one of the reasons why trading the open is something that people just avoid doing. They will wait until like 10 o'clock, 10:30, or even later in the day, till between like 2 and 4 o'clock, before they'll even bother getting into some of the day trades, when some of that weird whippy time is out of the market. Excellent on CCIV. I want to look at the daily chart for them. This is another company that the sooner they hit the production, the better. And really, that's going to shake out a lot of the doubt that we have. I shouldn't say the doubt that we have, the doubt that goes along that holds the price down for CCIV. It didn't help that they reduced the amount of vehicles they expected to produce in 2021 from quite a few thousand, I think, down to like 600 or something, and saying that the primary production that they would have would come along starting in 2022. So I think that that hurt them, and it hurt us as investors, especially short-term investors. For me, this is a long-term hold, but that was definitely something that that really didn't help the price action we see between the EV sell-off and high growth, and the chip shortage that also went along with it, that probably impacted the amount that they were able to produce. Just a lot of things going against CCIV. A win for them would be the 500-mile range held by the Lucid Air Dream Edition. That they're going to be the only ones, I believe, in that class. The Tesla Model S Plaid Plus maybe was supposed to go into that, and then Tesla bagged it at the last moment, probably because of cost. That it just didn't make sense for them because there wasn't enough margin. Those are guesses on my part. But that's something where Lucid came out and they were like, hey, we got you covered. We'll take care of that. So that production is really going to be a good catalyst for us. And it is nice coming off these May lows that we see here, this nice little linear pattern with a little bit of maybe overexcitement. And over the past few days, I talked about this little sell-off that we saw, a little bit of a correcting in prices, and now we resume that march that we were making before, that march upward. So excellent. And I drew this line on here, this horizontal line, for a little bit of resistance that we might bump up against. Looks like I had to change my scale here. Right around like 24.50 or so, I would say. What's the top of this candle? This one's at 24.59, and this one is at 24.32. So yeah, 24.50 I would say would be a decent resistance that we would bump into there. Tesla hit 650. Excellent, Taco. All right, this is exactly what we want to see. Looking at these two lines that we're about to get the two of them to cross each other. This faster moving average that we have on the bottom crossing over the slower moving average that we have at the top. That could also be part of what we see for this bullish pattern that we had. We had a double top resist yesterday at like 23.52, and you can see here that we kind of cut symmetrically right through that we marched right on through past that resistance in the pre-market in the after hours from yesterday into today. It's a good looking chart. By the way, this candle that we see here, the fact that we have these long trailing our bottom wick that we have here, and then this narrow range, that can be a bullish sign for us that there's a lot of upward pressure, and then the bulls ended up winning that one, at least in the short term here, moving into the 10 to 1030 part of the stock market. Hey, check it out. Orf is actually making a reappearance. They're trying. 935, where are we at today? 709. So significant sell-off, but for people who are holding with it and sticking with it, bringing the volume back stronger than what we saw, at least in the second half hour chunk that we have of the market. You can see we had lots of volume as it sold off, and then the volume tapered off significantly. This one, even less volume, less excitement. This one overcame that volume, but look at the second half hour. We have a lot more buying coming into that. There you go. Goldman Sachs briefly builds stake in meme stock Orphazine. So there's your catalyst. Goldman Sachs aggregate holding share. Yeah. All right. Well, at least we know what's propping up some of the price that we see today, and that happened within the last hour. So that would go back here all the way to this one. And so we have an explanation for some of the price action that's happening with Orphazine. Three growth stocks for me for long term. All right. So just let me bring up my portfolio here. All right, so one that I've talked about before on this channel, there we go, is Digital Turbine. There we go, and they've had a really good run of it recently. And when I talked about it on my channel, there we go, I talked about it as a range play that we could have with the bottom somewhere around like $70 a share, maybe down to like $69 per share, and it could take us up about where these tops are here at about $93 per share. And we're finally getting back into that territory. You can see some sort of resistance building right around $75 per share. But this is a software as a service company. Huge amount of installs and still growing phenomenally, and also able to capitalize on that growth. And those are things that we want. And they're also a high margin company as well on top of that. So an excellent build from 511, which is one of the dates that we saw for a lot of companies to have lows, all the way up to the 13th would be another one of those lows that we'd have for the sell-off. And this range play, I actually talked about it right about, it was somewhere around in here, around the middle of April, that I was like, hey, you know, we're getting down towards the bottom of this range. You could buy in and you could ride it back up to about $100 a share. So that would be like a 40% upside from where you'd be at. And it seems to happen pretty quickly. So we're finally getting back into that range as that pressure, that selling pressure comes off. But we are starting to bump against resistance. So if it's starting to set a new range, then it could sell back down from where it's at here. However, it's more playing with these lows that we have right around like the $66 per share mark. So about a 10% downside if it's going to continue to trade in a range, or if it could even continue back into this bullish pattern that we had before. Goldman Sachs had talked about the recovery plays and the value plays, and that they will fade out as we get deeper into 2021. And they've issued their stance that they believe that the high growth plays in tech are going to take over again by the end of 2021. And this would fall in that category for that dominance to take its place. So Angelito, to answer you, that's one of them. And let me see. I already mentioned CCIV, but I'll give you some other ones. Here's one. Coinbase, I feel like, has a lot of economic moat around them, and it doesn't look like a very good choice. But when you look at it, even before, I think this is around the time Bitcoin bottomed out here. So when Bitcoin was at its bottom, and yesterday was another pretty terrible day as far as cryptocurrencies go, we can see when Bitcoin's at about $30,000 per coin, we can see what Coinbase looks like. So that gives us something that we can predict on. And so this price action that we see here would go along with the price action that we see in the crypto markets, where Bitcoin represented something like 62% of their holdings. And then I think it's been a while since I looked at the numbers, but I think it's like 20-ish% for Ethereum. And well, those are the top two cryptocurrencies that we have, and they're both down in price. So Coinbase can be down in price. As those cryptocurrencies start to come back into full strength, and mind you, crypto, this came out around the time I think crypto finished popping somewhere in this part of May. So you actually have a decent price range. So we have at least a 40% upside if Bitcoin makes it back to its prices. And if it exceeds them, if we really look at the stock to flow model and Bitcoin gets back to its price, Ethereum moves in sympathy with that. And also Ethereum's improvements that come along with the IP 1559, proof of stake, sharding, and higher efficiency and use cases start to build for it, then we start to see a lot of strength come back to Coinbase as well. Liquidity and security are two of the biggest things that you have for Coinbase that they have going for them. The trustworthiness of Coinbase compared to some other exchanges is also something that, despite the fact that they have high fees and they have the risk of their transaction fees being something that could drown them if they don't innovate over time, as of right now, they're not worried about it because they're seeing more and more buying anyway, despite the fees from the retail traders, which is from whom they make their money. So it's something that they're working on, but it's not the immediate concern for them. But we could see this come back in price as cryptocurrencies come back in price. And we already have fairly decent lows here, and we have a lot of support in Bitcoin right around that $30,000 per coin, and Ethereum right around 2,000 or so. So I think that a lot of risk, as long as Bitcoin holds that $30,000 support, a lot of the risk is out of it right now. There's about a 10% downside, assuming Bitcoin holds a $30,000 support. 10% downside. If Bitcoin does make it up to the 85,000 this fall, as we move into the end of Q3 and starting Q4, then we could see a lot of the strength come back to Coinbase's stock as well. So Angelito, that's two, and then I'll give you one more. Let me GHVI, that one's Meet Kevin's baby. And I'm glad that he mentioned it because I wouldn't have known about it otherwise. And, that's in essence what my channel is here for, is to mention opportunities, bring them to your attention. Then you guys can go ahead and look into them and decide what you want to do about it, if anything at all. None of it is ever advice. So because I can't advise you because I'm not a financial advisor. Mention NNDM, Palantir I mentioned. Oh, let me see. We'll throw this one out there. Skills as a growth company, one thing I like about it is that it's a high risk, high reward type play, and it's going to be subject to whatever popularity its apps have, its games have. So really, we need more users and more paying users, and also we need a game that is absolute wildfire, or a set of games that are absolute wildfire. And they also need to do continued platform improvements to make sure that they're keeping up with the times, that are making games that are of interest to the market at the time. And also global market penetration is also something that would be really good for them. So not yet profitable. You can see this was a SPAC, and it also is high growth. And so that sell-off, along with a couple different bear reports, dropped us down to $12.40 per share. And we've already come up over double that from that bottom price. And I'm sure some people have bought in around here. ARK Invest went extra heavy when they saw some of these low prices come out, believing in the business model that that Skills has. So basically, you get two players that pay to play the game. The winner takes the majority of the winnings from that game. And I think, again, another part where I'm rusty because I haven't looked at the specifics of this since February. But I think the loser of that game might get a small kickback. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I know the three parts. It's the winner, it's the developer. They're the ones who get the payout. And then the other person who gets part of the payout is Skills themselves. And the percentage that Skills takes is actually going to increase over time. Those percentages have escaped my mind. I'm going to have to go back and look at my notes. But let's say right now that they take a 2% cut of the winnings from that paid game that was played. They're going to bump that up to like 4%. And I'm throwing these out as example numbers. So let's say $1 was played on the game, they would get 2 cents of it. And then in the future, I think by 2023, they're going to bump it up even more, that if $1 was played for the game between both parties, then they would take 4 cents for that game instead of 2 cents for that game, for those examples. 7.5 December is nice right now. Yeah, it is, Lee. So Skills, if we look at the analyst estimates, we have a 20% upside to the analyst average that we have right here from the 6 estimates that are there. $15, which is looking pretty bearish at the moment from where we sit. So that's a 25% downside from where we currently sit. And then $34 is the high. Really, I want them to do that PR with the NFL developer challenge that they have and see. It'd be excellent. I think it would do a lot for them to give confidence to the investors to know what's going on with that and what to expect, and also to get people in the community hyped about some of the developments that have been happening. So for Skills to talk to the developers and for the developers to give the sort of feedback, I guess there is a little bit of risk involved in there for the developers themselves overhyping the game that they've made out of it. But the developers stand to benefit from getting that contract with the NFL and with Skills. They also get to use the NFL's logos and stuff. So if that goes really well, that could be a gateway to other companies also using Skills and to get the brand out and to get into more places. So the NFL, I'm sure, will get some of the money. Skills will get some of the money. The developer will get some of the money. So I think that we're still a little bit in the dark about that contract because they haven't mentioned the specifics about the deal with the NFL, at least not that I've seen. If you guys have seen it, just let me know. Hello, Polly. Just a quick look at the level 2 over here. Getting decent sell side pressure around 1960. We actually have a very near to the current trade price anyway, a very near support wall that we have forming here. So a lot of nearby buy side pressure. So that would hold its current position should keep it afloat a little bit. And look at the resistance that we're getting right along the 200-day simple moving average that I have here, that we keep resisting as we go along it. We need to break that. We need to get back up above it. And instead of the 50-period simple moving average acting as support, instead we have more of a linear. There we go. Actually, let's do it as a ray instead of as a line. There we go. There we go. That's more of the support that we have going on. And the tighter that squeezes, the more likely it is to break to the upside. So we could honestly see a breakout forming for skills within the next, let me see, today's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We could see a breakout to the upside for this. Remember, you got to keep the markets in mind, what the overall market is doing. So if the indices are down and the market's down, then that could break this pattern, and resistance could hold, and we could see a support break on us. Those are all definite possibilities. This was probably a little bit too much too fast. We want to see a slower build. And even if it traded sideways over time for a long-term play like skills, it would definitely be something that I would be interested in, is watching that trade sideways for a little bit. Game seasons now. Nice. Tattooed chef, short interest. Oh boy, it's getting to be 10:40 here. Guys, I'm going to go for about 5 more minutes. So if there's anything else that you want me to take a look at, and I'll try not to talk about things too long because I do get long-winded. I'll go for about 5 more minutes, and if there's anything else that you want me to see or talk about, just let me know and I'll try to get to it. And if I don't get to it, I apologize. To be completely honest, I always mean to end at 10 o'clock every day. So 9:15 till 10 a.m. And then time always gets away from me because I love talking about this stuff and sharing it with you guys. Well, there's been a lot of plays trying for short squeezes. This only takes us up to May 28th. So at least as far as looking at what we have for WEBULL anyway, we would really need that next report to come out, that next short interest report, which I believe around the middle of June we had one from, I think NASDAQ puts out a short interest report on this one. But that is huge. Let's look at see what the price is like around that time. There's May 28th. So we actually had a build, but the volume didn't really go a lot of places. A little bit of volume spike, a little bit of volume spike. Honestly, we could have more short interest building in on this, and that could be the reason why we see a lot of that downward pressure. We did break up over the 200-day. Here's what you want to look for. Check this out. The short-term moving average, or the shorter-term moving average, is moving up to this one, the longer-term moving average. That could turn us around. And if the short interest is huge right now, that could definitely be something. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you too. I always absolutely love the comments that come through here. This could turn around for us, and it could resume that little bit of upward movement that we have. Let me get auto here. There we go. So we actually have the highs dropping. We have the lows increasing. So overall, it looks like it could be settling on us. And another thing to look at, if we look at the moving averages, we're pretty even right around like 1866. So if this is going to drop, it's got room to drop a little less than 10% from where it's at right now. If it was $2 down, that'd be about 10% down. Instead, it's more like $1.50. So what is that, 8% or so? 8% downside according to the moving averages that we have here. The moving average did happen to go higher, and it looks like we still are bullish overall. So we could be seeing some short-term volatility. And if our short interest, if we do get a lot of short positions on this one from institutions, the really large ones trying to depress that price, it could definitely drop the price down below from where it's at. And like I said, we have that little bit of support, like I said, right around like the 1866, 1870, somewhere around in there. So from where it's at right now, we could honestly be tagging this for support. before turning back around again. And if that slower moving average gets crossed by this faster moving average, that could also be a bullish sign for us. And we want to start putting in, honestly, I would like to see less volatility in this overall, but we do want to start putting in higher lows, which we're doing all right with that so far. We've definitely over these major lows. So if we go all the way back here, 1038, and then 1249, 1409, 1544, yeah, 1601. So if this does get shorted a lot and drops back down, following along that trend line, depending on when it would happen, 1666, so what, 20% down from where it's at. So we have something around 10, something around 20. So we have a fair amount of resistance to fall through, including the moving average itself. But this is, honestly, it's looking like it's getting ready for another little upswing in price. So we'll keep an eye on Tattooed Chef. You see Taco CC, largest play, July 23rd. Call for 25 again. Nice. So Lee, for your call option that you have, you still have a decent amount of time value left over in that. And hopefully that should turn out well for you. I actually had some call options for CCIV when the price was down. Actually, I think it was the July 23rd call. And I bought a call option and I traded it off again because the price on it, it was really far out of the money. When it came into the money, that different the amount of gamma, the amount of that change put a lot of extrinsic value into it, and then it came into the money, so the intrinsic value also came into it as well, and you know, it ended up working out pretty well. Oh, are they going to become lucid that daily LCID? All right, I want to check in with Ethereum before I sign off here because it is that 1045 that I talked about. Very nice, very nice. That's not the right one. Hold on. Looking at the wrong one. Darn my eyes. There we go. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. This looks right. And now we're looking at Ethereum. Sweet. Okay. So when I look at this, we did put in a decent low yesterday. Wow, I didn't even see that happen. We tagged just below 1700 before coming back up again. But the important thing is where we closed with this this candlestick yesterday. So that nice little hammer that we have, that could be a bullish reverse for us. That could send this price back up. And I mean, we got to look at the overall crypto market for this thing. It still is tied relatively well to what Bitcoin does, and Bitcoin did recover. We're actually trading back up around 2,000, and that's an important resistance for us since we were just below it. So if we can break significantly above that, let's see how significant. Right around like 2173 or so, maybe even up to 2200, and even stronger resistance that we have. Yeah, I would call it 2200 just to give you a single number. Breaking through that resistance, getting us back up into this range would be the next good thing that we have going for it. There's a big question out there right now. You know, are we seeing a bear run? Are we in a bear market right now for cryptocurrency in general? And honestly, I think I'd sooner believe distribution and accumulation, that we're going to start building soon for that amount, and that we're going to see a slow, steady rise in the price, and then we're going to see it ramp up like we did previously. I don't know if it'll put in a new high based on what's here at first, or if it'll pull back a little bit from there. But I do think that we're going to have peaks that break out above this 2,800-ish level that we have right here for Ethereum. Right now, I think that there's just not a lot of big news to report for Ethereum. It's sort of status quo, and so it's trading status quo, and that could keep us range bound for a little bit on Ethereum. Here, I actually put some horizontal lines on it. So let me try and get this one right around 1800. There we go. That's close enough. So right around there, and then let's put another horizontal line right across the top of this. So this actually, let me do just one more. right out there. So those three lines on there, I mean, we could definitely be range bound down here that we put in a new range where it just sort of bounces around for a while until we hit those near-term catalysts, EIP 1559, hopefully coming out sooner than later to put that that change into Ethereum with Ethereum 2.0. Proof of staking, I think, is early 2021, and then sharding should be soon to follow that. But breaking that resistance at around 2200 is going to be important for us to get us back up to that 2800 line. And then after that, we have lots of room to run until we get back up to that previous high that we put in at about 43, almost $4,400 per token for Ethereum. That's a good average, Lee, on CCIV. So if I won't complain. Okay, excellent. Thank you for the confirmation on, and I believe it's LCID is the new ticker for Lucid when they actually do switch over. So as long as, if you are a CCIV holder, there will be a vote at the special meeting, and you should be contacted. Usually for me, for Ameritrade, it's through my email, and I click to do a vote, and then I can put my vote in for voting yes, I am for the merger to go from being CCIV to going Churchill Capital over to being Lucid Motors. And that was something that actually held back ChargePoint, is that not enough people voted in order for them to make that change. So they had to delay it. And then we saw a lot of turmoil in the price action, you know, along with the other overall market influences that we had with SPACs and with high growth and renewable energy and EV. On top of all that, we got another delay on something that had already been delayed for several months for SBE, Switchback Energy, becoming ChargePoint. We don't want to see that happening with Lucid. If it does happen, it should cause a price drop. And I would most definitely, like me personally, I would probably take advantage of that price drop if for some reason there's not enough voters in order to have that majority, in order to have it do that ticker change going from Churchill Capital over to Lucid. Oh, yeah. We just got news that, which Bitcoin ETF was it? Let me actually put in Bitcoin and see if it refreshes my memory. I was just reading about it this morning. Another continuation till like August 2nd, I think it was, from the SEC on whether or not they're going to do, whether or not they're going to approve the ETFs. It wasn't Van Eck, that already happened. Valkyrie, maybe, I think, was the most recent one. It should load for us. I believe that that CoinMarketCap mentioned the article. That's why I came here. Books or bonds. And this is what I was saying about bull market, bear market, and it says experts aren't sure. And honestly, I don't know that any, if they were sure which one it was. I mean, once you have whatever, as much certainty as you can gather, wouldn't that be the way that you would trade? So if we were in a bear market and we were expecting it to continue to sell off, wouldn't you take a short position or take options against Bitcoin that would cause it to drop in price? You know, we are in the business of making money when we're looking here. And so here you go, working at El Salvador, crypto. Okay, I'm not seeing it right now. I believe it was Valkyrie, though, was the most recent ETF to be shot down. 3IQ's Bitcoin ETF rises on first day of trading on NASDAQ Dubai. Awesome, coming out of CoinDesk. There you go, why EIP 1559 matters to. There's always so much to read, and it's always so interesting. Bitcoin holds 30,000 support, resistance at 36,000, yep. Excellent. Bitcoin is actually staying in its range pretty well, from about 28,000 up to about like 42,000-ish. So like if you were going to trade this versus investing in it, that is something that that could be considered within that range in order to buy in. Certainly yesterday, increasing your position if you're bullish on it and if you believe support was going to hold, that would be something to look at. But the fact that this support held here, it held here, it held all the way back here, the more often that you see that support hold, that's better confirmation that it's going to continue to hold. Oh, Lee, absolutely. Sometimes I think that I'm oversaturated with the stocks that I follow, and I try not to get into too many others. But an information nerd, and I love learning new things, and I love learning about new companies, and I love learning about cryptocurrencies, and so I always have that struggle about keeping up. That I always want to read more and I want to learn more. And as far as other YouTubers go, like I love to watch them. There's so many people have so many interesting things to say, and I love the different insights that I get, and it's always nice to have a variety of perspectives. And so to hear them talk about their perspective and share what they have to say, a lot of times I agree. There's a couple of times I'm, nah, I don't think it's going to go that way, or I don't fully agree that it's that big of a catalyst, either positive or negative. But you know, it is nice to have a variety of perspectives, especially opposing perspectives that would keep you out of bad trades, for example. I know that I've been saved a couple of times that I was like, yeah, this sounds great. And then I read the opposing perspective and I'm like, you know, they do have a point there. Is that really going to be an impact that should keep me out of the trade? And that's definitely something I want to consider. All right, well, absolutely everything positive today. Absolutely. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you very much for stopping in. I really appreciate it. I'm about an hour over time. Like I said, I always want to stop at 10 and then I end up keep on going. But keep the comments going. And if you like this and you haven't subscribed already, please do hit the like button to help me get up ranked. My honeymoon is coming up on June 29th through July 6th. And so when I go away, understand that I didn't just give up. I just went on my honeymoon, and I don't know what the internet's going to be like in Jamaica. I'm an early riser, so most likely if I did anything there anyway, it would probably be pre-market stuff before my wife ever even got up. But I can't promise my involvement during that time. So I'll be back for a few days after that. I get back on July the 6th, so I should be doing a live stream on July the 7th. I'll be resuming. And then unfortunately I go into a family vacation, but I'm not sure on those dates yet for that family vacation. But understand that I'm not leaving you guys hanging. I'm not leaving you high and dry. I just have some commitments that are kind of immovable. But hopefully that's understandable. And hopefully when I get back, you guys are there waiting for me. Thank you, Angelito. I appreciate it. And thank you, Lee. And thank you, Anna Shatra. I appreciate it. And it should be a good time. Have a great day, guys. And good luck in your trading. And thanks for rocking with me. Yeah, less to keep up on.